Hey, welcome back. So I've had a lot of people ask me about my chili recipe, and I must say it's not that hard, but it's quite tasty. I pretty much start out with some very basic ingredients. Start out with about 2 pounds of ground beef. I've already had it browning, so I've got 2 pounds of ground beef browned already. Alright, that looks pretty good. A lot of fat in there, so I need to drain that. When I drain the fat, I am going to keep some of it for cooking the veggies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the sink area, and let's see. Yeah, look at that. You drain the. There's a paper towel underneath my strainer, so I don't want to pour all that grease down inside the down my drain. I'm trying to get some of that out, but I'm going to leave a little bit in there. So you see I've got some grease and some meat in there. That's going to add to the flavor. So we'll get back to it in a second. Now the veggies that I used about 3 green peppers, 4 red peppers, 2 onions. Now the green peppers, I took out all these seeds, but the jalapeno peppers that I'm using about 6 jalapeno peppers in this mix. I've left the seeds in the jalapenos because I like the fire. But for the green peppers, I took the seeds out. And I'll show you how I do that. So I take my green pepper. I may have demonstrated this in other videos. I'm going to cut it up a little bit. I'm going to cut right down those seams. Once I have the seams already cut, pull it apart. I'm going to cut the pith out. The pith isn't really all that tasty. I'm going to cut that pith out. There we go. Get all that. Take my green peppers, I'm going to cut those sections in half. Now the jalapenos, that's pretty much straight up, just slicing them. So for the jalapenos, I'll just cut the top off, cut it in half, cut it in a quarter. Now I found that what really makes this dish tasty is the way I cut the veggies. So I've got my little Pampered Chef slicer and dicer, and slice and dice all those peppers. See how it nice and neatly chops it up. In the meantime, I've got my pan heating back up. Here, popping over there. Once I have a few of these already chopped up, got a little bit chopped up, so I'm going to take them over here to the pan. I'm going to drop them in the pan. So as that's cooking up, I'm going to keep on chopping veggies. As you can see, I like lots of veggies in my spaghetti. I like lots of veggies, a lot of spice. A lot of taste. And I try to use different colored peppers. Some a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's alright. But I'm going to bring out some peppers that I've been growing in my backyard. Chop off the ends. To be honest, I have no idea what kind of peppers these are. When I transplanted them from the little pots over to the ground, I lost all of the labels. So they could be miniature jalapenos, they could be serranos, they could be, who knows, they could be anything. So, I'm going to prepare them, stick them under there. Chop them up. Put them on the bowl. Once in a while I'll take the bowl, toss them in the pot, let them cook on down. Sometimes I like to use a little bit of olive oil. You can't see this, but I'm putting maybe a tablespoon of olive oil in the bottom of the pan to help the veggies cook. So I'm going to keep on chopping as they keep on cooking. I'm almost done. But you see how easy that is? Up until maybe an hour ago, this was just a bag full of peppers and onions that I just bought from the grocery store. So you see how quick this little device. Alright, after I've gotten all the veggies all chopped up, I've got them in the pot cooking. That is quite a bit of veggies, but they will reduce as you cook. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep on stirring them. I'm going to let them reduce. I'm going to watch them. You don't want to burn them. You just want them to reduce. You cook them till the onions are translucent and most of the bright greenness or redness of the peppers has faded to just a darker color. So you're going to keep on cooking those for a little while. And sometimes they will take a while. There's just a lot of water in this, so it's going to take a while for the water to evaporate. And once the water evaporates, that's when it can really start cooking. But I'm just going to stir that and watch it for a while. So some of the other ingredients that I like to use when I make my chili is some tomato sauce, puree, diced tomatoes, some chili mix. Yeah, I know it's cheating. And to cut down on the acid, some people use sugar, some people use chocolate. Well, I found that I'll use one of two things, just depending on my mood. I'll either use store-bought, prepackaged corn bran muffin or corn muffin mix. The Jiffy works just fine. I'll add that to it to thicken it up, or sometimes I'll use a little bit of apple cider. The apple cider gives it just that sweetness that's really good, and it also helps cut down on the acid. But that won't come for a little while. As you see, the veggies are starting to simmer and cook. So I'll go over here and I'll show you a little trick when it comes to my green bean, or my beans. I'm using only 3 cans of kidney beans, a couple cans of light red, and a can of dark red. Now what really works well for this is I use this little can opener from Pampered Chef. It's where I got the chopper from. This is in any way, it's not a plug for Pampered Chef. I just find that their products work pretty well. So I like to strain my beans. I like to rinse and strain them, because you don't want all that nasty, thick bean juice that's found at the bottom of the can. So what I do is when I cut the top off, fun part about this is, the can opener is, that it cuts the top off just nicely. So what I'll do is put the top off to the side. You don't have to worry about getting cut. And I'll drain that thick juice. Yeah, you don't want that. It just kind of takes away from the taste and adds an unnecessary thickness to it. So now that I've got it strained, I'll take a little bit of water, add it to it, shake it. Getting all that out of there. And I'll do that a couple times. Get most of that stuff out of there. That's got that one done. I'll restrain the other two. They look good. There we go. Get all that juice out. Do this one more time. There we go. Get most of that out of there. So the meat's pretty much drained, so I'm just going to leave that there until I'm ready. Come back over to my peppers. Now this is quite a bit. And I'm probably not going to use all of it in the chili, and that's fine. You don't have to use it all. These peppers are really good for other dishes too. Sometimes I'll use the extras in my omelets or tacos, you name it. Anywhere where you're going to use fresh veggies, you can use this mix in there. I'm going to keep on stirring that for a little while. Yeah, maybe just a touch of olive oil. About a teaspoon or so, or tablespoon or so. Starting to smell good. I'm going to cook that for a few more minutes. Add a little bit of salt. I don't measure this. Shake it till it's probably, maybe a teaspoon or two. Could be more, who knows. I don't really measure a whole lot when I cook. I just throw it in the pot, cook, and taste as I go. Okay, that's really going good. It's almost done. Just got to be careful, since there are some warm peppers in there. Some people may not like that, so if you're going to save some of that, or if you're going to serve this to other people, please make sure to let them know that there's hot peppers in it. There's nothing worse than serving up a really good tasting chili, and your guests take a bite out of it, and they don't like it because it's just a little bit too hot for their tastes. So I'm going to keep on cooking that. It's almost done. I'll cook up for just another minute. Now we're talking. You're just going to keep on cooking those till they turn roughly that color. See how they're not really all that bright green or red anymore? They turn a kind of a darker shade. You're going to cook that until most of the water's out of there. And that's really what you're going for. You're trying to get most of the water out. There's no need to strain this. As you see, there isn't any juice at the bottom. So all the juice has evaporated. So, like I said, I'm going to take some out. Okay, you can always add this in later if you find out that you want more veggies. But for now, I'm going to take a little bit out, put it off to the side. Probably add some of that anyway. I'll put that over there. Right, so, I'm going to start with the cans of ingredients. First, the diced tomatoes. Pour that in. Puree. Try to get as much out of there as possible. And the sauce. Pour that in there. Give it a stir. Yeah, probably the juice. So it's pretty wet. Don't worry, after a while that will simmer on down. It'll get nice and thick the way the chili should be. So this is where the beer comes in. There's a little bit left in the cans. I'll take my beer, swirl it around. And don't worry, the alcohol will cook off, so nobody's going to get drunk off this chili. Bubbling a little bit too high. Let's turn that down a little bit. I don't want to burn the poor dog who's under my feet. So I've used that whole can of beer. This is a good time to add the seasoning. Add the seasoning. Both packets. Yeah, I know it's cheap. You can make this at home. You can make this chili season. It's not that hard, but just to save a little bit of time, I just bought the packets. It's nothing more than garlic powder. Let's see, what do they call? Chili peppers, other spices, cornstarch, garlic powder. Yeah, you can make this easily. My recipe has a little bit different ingredients, but it's still yummy. Now we're going to give it a good stir. Dump in our beans. It's looking good. And our meat. I would suggest that either you modify your recipe to fit your pot, or just get a bigger pot. So I'm just going to very carefully fold these ingredients in there so you don't make a mess. Stir it up really good. There we go. And so I've done this many times, and I'm pretty confident in the texture and the taste, but I'm still going to taste it. Not bad. So I'm just going to let this simmer for a little while. You want it to simmer. That way the juices just infuse into the beans. They soak into the beans. It makes all the veggies just a little bit softer. Beans get a little softer. Everything just simmers on down a little bit too. Well, I'm just going to let that simmer for a few hours until it's time to eat. Remember, it's never too hot outside to have chili. You can have a bowl now. You can freeze a whole bunch. Save it for a cooler summer day. Even though it is summer, hey, like I said, there's no bad time for chili. You can put this on a hot dog. You can put it on a baked potato, provided people like a little bit of spice. I'm just going to let that cook on down. If I feel the need to add it, I can add these veggies. If not, I'll probably take these veggies and freeze them for another time. So, we'll let that simmer and we'll come back. The chili has been simmering for a little while. It has reduced a little bit. So I'm going to give it a really good stir. Get everything mixed up just a little bit. I could probably stand to let it simmer and reduce a little bit more. But as you see, my burger is ready. And I would really like a bowl of chili to go with my burger. So, go ahead. Get that bowl of chili ready. It's looking good. I'm going to top it with a little bit of cheese. Of course, I'll let that melt just a little bit. Garnish with a few more peppers. Yeah, I think that's enough. And dinner is served. Yum. I will have the recipe in the description of the video. Not for the burger, but for the chili. And of course, feel free to modify the recipe at will to suit your tastes. But this is a chili that I make all the time. When I make it for family, I tend to make it with just a little bit less hot peppers and maybe just a little bit more sweeteners. For sweeteners, like I said, I'll either use an apple beer, or sometimes I'll use a little bit of cornbread or corn muffin mix. And that will not only thicken it up even more, but that also gives it a nice little sweetness to it. Kind of takes away from the bitterness, the acidity of the tomatoes. But you can use all kinds of other ingredients to take away the acidity of the tomatoes. I've heard people using chocolate. Never done that before, but I've heard people use chocolate, not a whole lot. And some people have used honey. So, honey is another option to use to sweeten it down a little bit. You don't want to add too much. You don't want it to taste like a bowl of sweet chili. You just want to get rid of the acidity of the tomatoes, while still preserving the taste of the hot peppers and the other ingredients. So, hope you've enjoyed the video, and enjoy. Yum.